Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rock Show with Connor Farrell, where we're blowing up bands and bringing rock to fans. Today, once again, part 2, we have Akloh for fans of Green Day and Foo Fighters. Cue intro. Boom, that's the new and improved intro. You guys liked it. You see how I changed it up. You've seen it 4 episodes now in a row. Unless you're an Akloh subscriber, then you have no clue. This is new. But you're going to follow me too. And anyone who's my guy, you're going to follow Akloh because it costs you nothing and he's good. And trust me, there's so many people and fans are, not as good as Akloh. That's the nice way to put it. And so do yourself a favor, go listen to his stuff. Christ, I'm so happy I found him. Literally, no, I've played so many gigs with so many bands, and they're so not as good as Akloh. And I'm just like, good.
You the man.
Go find him. I found him. He's right here. Go grab him, okay?
He did find me.
But if you're gonna grab him, make sure it's consensual. Anyways,
Yes.
radio
Read my
quality
mind.
music. We just talked about the plugin wizard RJ from Monterey, and so now I want to jump in. I got yabba do. We got 3 kind of things here I kind of want to talk about that are like passionate for me. So you said you're talking about learning the new way of the music industry and what's going on now. I think I'm going to tell you first. My thing that's I think upcoming is that I think rock music is about 10 to 12 years behind comedy, in the sense that they realized, wait a minute, we could do a podcast and now we can do it full time. And now because we can do it full time, we can get way better at the art and we can network with all the people and everyone else gets bigger and bigger from doing it.
There you
people
go.
are like, comedy's in a boom. You're like, no, it's going up and it's getting exponential, and there is the things that are causing it. There's no upward limit on it. It doesn't appear to be any limit on it, and so it's getting bigger and bigger. And so as we go into this age where people are like, oh, and then the second thing is they go AI is going to take over. It's like, no. Everyone cares about story, and if people just care about how it sounds, which might be the pop audience to a large extent, but even then, they want to know it's Drake. Gosh darn it, it's Drake. I want to hear about Drake talking to Millie Bobby Brown underage. Now I want to. So that's the thing. It's the story. It's the drama. It's the not like us. It's Kendrick. It's Lamar. It's what's up with Lamar. What's up with Kendrick? Right?
That's it.
Wait, Drake, Kendrick. Wait, collab.
Kendrick, I like that.
Lab. I'm in a lab. What's happening? Chocolate lab. I like chocolate. Now. So,
Perfect.
So the AI thing. Everyone connects with story. That's why they want it. Why do you think I like Nickelback? 2 words. Chad Kroger.
Hell yeah.
Why do I like Creed?
What's the guy's name? I don't know what the guy's name is.
4 words. We got Scott Stapp and the guitarist Mark Tremonti. There we go.
Thank you.
There we go. You can see I'm on vocal rest right now. Anyways, now see, I'm very loose. I'm very goosey right now. I'm not a homosexual, but I am a silly goose right now. Just so I should put that out there. Nothing wrong with that. Actually, I have a lot of homosexual friends. Some of the best friends. That's debatable. Whether my best friends are gay, that's there's been allegations. We're not going to confirm nor deny. Well, that's between them and their maker. Now, let's get into it. After that whole kind of
introduction.
Asperger's, everything out there. I get everything up. I'm having trouble breathing. I took an allergy pill. It didn't really work. I'm like sitting here. I'm like, gosh darn, we're on the second part because the part 2s are always better. The part 2s are always better. It's always better. I don't even know why. I should say we're never allowed to do just one. We have to do at least 2 parts.
Have to do 2.
It's so much better. It's so much better because I know you're going to be on fire right now.
There we go. And you're already on fire.
I know you, man. I know you now. I know you. Okay, so how are you learning about the new industry? So I told you my theory is I'm going to do the podcast thing, and then once I do it, and then like everyone who comes on, like Akloh, and people we have on, and we start getting bigger guests, and then big guests in Akloh, then it's Dave Grohl and Akloh, and then it's Paul McCartney and Billy.
Right.
So I'm calling, and then it's Akloh, and then it's Destroy Boys, and then it's like You know what I mean? And then Little Liar. Let's Little Liar. What's up with them? How are they doing? They good?
They're good dudes. They're good dudes, and they make good hard rock music. I'm glad you brought them up. They are
good
people that
shout out.
Yeah, they know how to promote the bands in their genre and the scene, and they do it regularly. They put out a shit ton of content. You want to talk about a content machine?
Yeah.
They do a great job with that, and Yeah, just good dudes, great music. Would definitely recommend checking them out for sure. Little Liar from Buffalo, New York.
From Buffalo, New York. Okay, that's going to be the fifth thing we go to is Buffalo. So here's the main thing. How are you finding out about the music industry? I'll give you a couple names. You tell me if any of them are places you're going. There's Rick
Okay.
Beato,
Don't
pretty
even know who
big
that
guy.
is.
Good. Okay, there's a guy Jesse Cannon.
Know who that
News
is.
information. Okay, there's Bacon Bits, the guy with the cigar.
Well, I know him through Jesse.
There we go. And then there's Damien Keys, British guy from Wales.
I have seen a couple of his, but I never
Okay.
bought into it.
Where are you finding, where are you getting info? Where are you educating yourself? What seems to resonate the most?
I mean, I will say those first couple months, I dove heavily into the music formation
Yeah.
stuff. Um, and I think it's important no matter where you look, like nothing is 100%. But what I found that I gained from watching those kind of videos and those kind of people, and I took notes. I literally have a document of notes
Yeah.
from watching these videos because you can't absorb all that in one sitting. So I took notes on it and I have it to refer back to, and I add to it if I ever have time now to watch more of them. But the main thing that I took away from it and how the industry is now is first of all, like first and foremost, you have to somewhat feed the machine in order to find success right now. Like there are ways that have worked for many people and many bands to grow their audience and start finding success. And yes, it uses social media, and yes, it leverages algorithms, and yes, it like heavily relies on this technology stuff. Um, and it's like a necessary evil. Like, unfortunately, that's the way things are right now. There's a lot of benefit to it as well. Like, you have the potential to reach so many more people. But I know that a lot of bands, and I think like rock is one of those genres where it's like, I don't want to do the social media thing. Our music's good enough, and I don't think we need to do this. Well, you do. You do, unless your music is so unbelievably good that people are listening to it one time because their friend told them about it and they're immediately hooked. Like we're in you if you watch Jesse Cannon stuff, like one of the things from him is like the earworm era, right? Where like right now it's all about continuously drilling melodies or lyrics or themes into people's heads over and over and over and over because people have such a short attention spans now that it's no longer like one time of showing something is enough. You have to continuously remind them of who you are and what you're doing and what your product sounds like and what your entire product is for them to not even buy in, for them to pay any kind of attention to you. So going back to what I was saying, that the big takeaway for me is that there's essentially an infinite number of paths that you can take and tools that you can use to try to start driving success when it comes to your music. But in reality, you have to play every single lane until you find the one or two or three that seem to be the ones that are really driving you forward. So that's what I was saying before. Like right now for me, I'm still playing 2 to 3 gigs a week. I'm still doing videos every other day. And then on the days where I'm not doing a video on like Instagram, I'm making like a more informal TikTok, like putting that out every day. I was doing a little kind of podcast thing myself the first couple months. It's buried deep on the interwebs now, but just to keep myself busy and like to see if that created anything. You have to like, and even part of that is going to shows and networking with other bands and I've reached out to like record labels, not with the goal of them listening to a song and being like, oh my God, we want to sign you, but just being like, hey, I'm Akloh and I'm making music and this is what it sounds like. You might not like me now, but you might want to keep an eye out a year from now when you might be interested in me then. Um, just like running every play you possibly can to see what sticks. And then, like I said, whatever sticks, continue to leverage that. So that's been my biggest takeaway is there's so many different ways to do it, but there's also things that seem to have more often than not when done right and when done consistently produced results. So do them all and do them all long enough and well enough for them to have the chance to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of words, but that's essentially the idea.
Perfect. So Have you heard the song Friday Crazy
Oh,
Night?
hell yeah, dude. That guy's in my algorithm like crazy. Was it Tullamore?
Okay, so I've been a Tullamore fan for a while now. Like when that
Tullamore,
song first
baby.
came out, I've been a fan of him since like 2019.
I
So like,
love it.
which is funny, but earworm era. And then have you heard "I Am Rectangular"?
I haven't heard that one.
In my bones, I am rectangular. And this guy, it's so funny because like he just did a video where he's playing it on an acoustic guitar, and it begins with him just doing an insane shred tapping thing, and then instantly without and just like for like half a millisecond, then he goes straight into the song, and you're just like, wait, no one knew this guy was like insane guitar god level
Oh,
like
yeah,
guitar
yeah,
player. And because all of his videos are just him in Times Square, I am rectangular
yeah.
in it in my
I'm surprised
bones.
I've never seen that. My algorithm's
Dude,
not giving me the good
you're gonna
stuff.
get, but it's reason I bring it up is, dude, the earworm era is so true, and I'm seeing Tullamore, like, I'm like, I knew he was good, and I liked it, even if people are like, oh, he's corny. But this is my thing, is like everyone, like, if you're sincere on the internet, um, people connect to you, but other people go, I need to attack that, I need to lash out at that.
Right,
Oh, you're doing an earworm and you're being sincere. It's like, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha! I'm laughing
right,
straight to the bank. I don't care. I got a music
right,
career. I got people who like what I'm doing. And now here's the thing. So here's the whole thing is I think it comes down to, like you're saying, you do something that works and what sticks, right? You try everything, you see what sticks. And so for me, the way I kind of define that is like you need to get people's attention and you need them to have a reason to want to check out your music. Whether it's the
right.
music does that, or whether it's because they like you just in general, because they've seen you interview all these great people and they like you
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And so all this stuff, right? But that's the thing, is like they need a reason to check out the music. 'Cause it's so easy. I've seen so many people who just play guitar and like get a big following, and then they're like, "Here, releasing my song." I'm like, "You you really had an opportunity here to just hit up all of the producers and people who are really good, but only have 2,000 followers, and you've got 50,000 followers. There's guys
Right.
who get on this show that are just insane, like your RJ, like that are plug-in with,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I want to work with them. I want to work with them
Right.
because my songs will sound like Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses in within 2 minutes of working with them,
Perfect.
because they know the
Perfect.
other part. Because I can play guitar. I can for what I want to do. I'm not doing some crazy jazz or some crazy death metal.
Right.
I'm doing a hard rock. I'm a heavy metal Huey Lewis. That's my kind
Yep.
of vibe. So it's
Yep.
like this is, and so I can do that, but I need you to know this is the right synth plug-in. This is how to make
Right.
the bass sound solid, consistent
And I
lower.
will,
I don't know that.
yeah. And I will say, like, someone like RJ, a mark of a good producer too. Like, yes, he knows how to do all that stuff, but like, he was so hard on the tracking. We did thousands of takes, thousands, like count.
Mm,
Like, I
yeah,
cannot even tell you how many takes we did of guitar, of vocals, of everything to get it as perfect as we could before it even entered a plugin, before it even entered editing. So like, if you are finding someone to work with and they're really good at knowing what plugins to use, but you lay down one take of a recording and they're like, all right, that's cool. And you lay down one take of a vocal and they're like, all right, that's cool. That's a red flag. Like if you're really trying to look for your best product,
yeah,
you need, and you're like looking for a producer or something like that. You want someone who not only knows those techie things, you want someone who's going to push you to get the basics, the tracks themselves, the dry the dry output as high quality as possible, so that when then you put that into those really cool techie things, it sounds that much better. And I would almost go so far as to say that like the tight tracking, and RJ would say the same thing. The tight tracking is what makes these songs sound as good as they do. And then you put the editing on top of that and everything great. But like if those takes weren't, tooth and nail to be perfect, as perfect as possible, it wouldn't sound as good through the effects afterwards. So I just wanted to throw that in there because that's an important
yep.
piece for especially young bands looking for like to work with someone. Um, it's not just about the after stuff in terms of like what you do after you have a recording. It's what's happening during and even before the recording that matters too.
You can't fix it in the edit.
You can't fix it. What I'll say is you can't fix it. You can't fix it to the extent you can't make it sound the same as a good take if you're fixing it in the edit. And you mentioned Guns N' Roses a minute ago. I just want to say if you want an example of that, go listen to their album Chinese Democracy. Pretty good album. I have some songs on that I like, but you can hear in multiple spots how they tried to fix a track that
Mm,
wasn't recorded well, and it just
yeah.
sticks out like a sore thumb, especially on his vocals. There's like all sorts of weird shit going on, but it's just an example of like the album sounds good. Like sonically, it's the tones and everything are really, really nice. But like you can hear where they tried to like, oh, this, he didn't sing that right, but we're not going to retake it. Let's just da, 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 and try to make it sound right. Like you can tell when that's happening.
You can't make the magic in the edit. You have to capture magic.
I like that. I like
There
that.
you go. You can't
I
make the
like that.
magic. The
I
magic is
like that.
coming from you. It's from you.
I
You're the
like it.
chosen one, Akloh. You made the magic. Yay. There we
We
go.
did it. We did it.
Jump scare. I gotta jump scare the camera with the finger. You see that? Yeah. It's you. It's you. It's you. Look, you. Okay, there we
Next
go.
step
I
is
need
making
you.
this 3D so that we get the.
We get the TikTok. No, I know.
Yeah.
I'm making it on TikTok. It's so funny. Oh, so okay. So let me get. So we talked earworm. What else did you kind of take away from the Jesse Cannon? So it was like do whatever it does, and then earworm, and then were there any other things that kind of like stick out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that his advice on release timelines is pretty sound. Like how to
Six
go
to eight a
about.
year.
Yeah, and I think like they said, it was. He gives the timeline of like anything 4 weeks and under can feel like two thrown together. 6 weeks is like a sweet spot. 8 weeks and beyond can feel like you don't have enough
Yeah.
ready. So I'm like adhering. This first one is a 5 week span just because I wanted
Yeah.
to like get the second thing out a little bit quicker just to keep people
Yeah.
engaged. But going forward, it's going to be, I'm going to try out the 6 week thing.
Six.
And it seems to make sense with what else is going on out
Yeah.
there. So like the release timeline is something, um, gives a lot of good information about how to, um, not necessarily leverage like Spotify. I mean, he does give advice on how to leverage the tools Spotify gives you to, help yourself. But I think it was more so like he made me aware, his videos made me aware of a lot of things that I wasn't aware of before. And whether I fully latch onto it and say like, okay, this is something I'm definitely going to do, or I say, I think that might be maybe a little overstated in terms of the effect, or at least the effect it'll have for me. And I'm going to hold off on that. Like he made me aware of a lot more things that I didn't know before, especially like about technology and how social media algorithms and how Spotify algorithms and all that stuff kind of work, resources that you can use to see deeper into like your like music stats is like a deeper look into your Spotify stats, and everynoise.com helps you find your genre. Maybe you don't know your genre, but you can look up
Mm,
bands and it'll give you genre examples. So when you're trying to like hashtag something, you can try out those hashtags that you seem to be similar to. So like stuff like that, things that I wouldn't have necessarily thought of and things that I'm now aware of. Um, that I kind of have just like a list of those. And then it was just a matter of going back and saying, all right, like which one of these can I genuinely work into my plan here and then
yeah.
put them in place and try to make it happen. I think some of the stuff that him and what's the cigar guy's name again?
Bacon bits.
Bacon Bits. Yeah. I think some of the stuff that they overstate, at least for like rock musicians,
Yeah.
it seems like is um, like the pitching to like editorial playlists is something you should always do on Spotify. Like whether you get
Yeah.
in or not, you should always do it, but like you're probably not going to get on it. But the pitching to like and trying to put a lot of emphasis on getting on other people's playlists and like stuff like that. I think it works in certain like genres, because there's really certain genres really lend themselves more to playlists. Like electronic genres seem to be, their fans seem to be heavily into like fan compiled playlists, and folk genres like folk pop, like Noah Khan kind of sound seems to dive into like your cozy fall vibes playlist. You know what I mean? Like it's a very playlisty kind of genre. Whereas rock, maybe I just haven't found it and seen it myself, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people that are going out and finding like someone else's hard rock bangers playlist and then listening to it. It seems more like people are making their own playlists for themselves when it comes to rock music. So for me, I haven't really put much emphasis on leveraging that, but I've worked these other avenues that seem to be more applicable. And like the Spotify thing so far is going surprisingly well for like a first release. I would have never expected those kind of numbers and listens, which is a blip on the radar for other people. But for me, for a first release, it's like really cool to see. And it wasn't putting emphasis on like, hey, dude, can I get on your playlist? Hey, dude, like I think I'd fit
Yeah.
really well. It was just like leveraging the social media stuff, the promotional stuff, making sure the songs sound good. And that in and of itself seems to have been enough to at least get the ball rolling. And maybe I'll hit a wall. And at that point, when I hit a wall, maybe I need to unlock that next piece by starting to do the playlist thing and reaching out to people. But right now, it's not something I need to do. So like I said, I don't know if that's actually overstated, but it seems like there's a lot of talk about that kind of thing. And I don't know that in my genre, if it necessarily does as much as it may in other genres, but I could be totally wrong.
Yep. Definitely. Definitely. So I got two things that I think you're going to like.
I'm ready.
Collabing. So for me, I defined the reason why the podcast is so great is the way I define growth for me, that I'm actually able to grow my audience, grow my influence, grow my network of people. Because really, it's the whole thing is I want to build, a like almost like a little rock MTV, right?
Oh,
Where I
yeah.
can have people on, and I want other people to be able to launch their own, independent little, and so people know they can come there, and even if they don't like my music or my taste, I'm not just going to have on people who are exactly like my style or whatever, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
they'll be able to find stuff and they'll be able to see things. There's so many people where I'm like, I don't have their same taste. Like, there's a guy, Finn McKenty, who did a bunch of videos. I know he's getting out of it now, but he had a channel called the Punk Rock NBA, and he almost has like the opposite, what bands he likes and dislikes. I'm like, I can't stand every band he likes pretty much, and every band I like, he can't stand, which is fine though, because I was like, I'm watching because it's like, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah,
there's something to be
absolutely.
gained
Yeah.
there. So for me, I kind of defined marketing to a certain extent for me was getting in front of an audience that isn't my existing audience. Therefore, every time I do a podcast with someone on Instagram, first off, I already have people on Instagram, so I get views, period. And it's
Right.
not just, even though you're like, oh, 30-second average watch time for 3,000 views. That's not a lot. If you go on YouTube, the average watch time is like 2 seconds. And then
Yeah.
I've got, even though it's 3,000, it's like, no, but like maybe 2,000 of them just skip after a second. But there's at least a good chunk who are watching a decent bit, because I've had people coming out of
Right.
the woodwork I haven't talked to in years. And they're quoting things like, oh, I watched your thing. And it's something from 40 minutes in.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love
And
that.
that's where it goes, oh, this is real. This is
Right.
actually working. And so what you were saying, you do everything and see what sticks. I was posting this
Mm-hmm.
podcast everywhere. I did 30
I
days in
love
a
it.
row for an hour, right, each day, and I was uploading it on like 7 places, and it was, oh my God. I realized I need to get smarter. And then I looked, and then I did one on Instagram, and then I did one where I collabed with my friend who I hadn't talked to him forever, and he doesn't have a huge audience. Like, I mean, he's like us. He's like got like whatever,
Right.
1,500 followers, 1,300 followers, nothing crazy.
Right.
Like, nothing that's like, oh my God, it was impossible to get the interview. It was like, oh, it's my buddy. We played
Right.
some games together. Hey, dude, I haven't talked to you in a while. You're really good at
Yeah.
bass. And he's like more
Yeah.
of a funk guy. Like, he's like in kind of a different genre, but I'm like, I want to catch up with my buddy. And when I
Yeah.
posted it, when it gets 3,000 views, and I go, look at that. I go, it's your whatever, like 1,500 and my 1,500. And guess what? All of your people got to see me and
Yep.
got to be aware of my mission and what I'm doing and my music and all this stuff. And all of my people got to see you.
Yep.
Because a lot of my followers are probably chicks from high school who don't like my like rock thing, but they'll probably really like his like funk jazz stuff.
Uh-huh.
So it's
If
just like, so for
the
me,
diversity helps, yeah.
I defined marketing as getting in front of an audience that isn't your own, and I figured out this thing of collabing on Instagram is huge. I'm going to be able
Yeah.
to. So what I'm doing is I want to get the next 80,000 views over the course of 2 months, so I can say I have an
Hell yeah.
average of 2,000 views over 40 episodes. Then once I've got that data, I can go to advertisers that believe in the mission,
Right.
but also
Right.
just using market rates, not them like banking on me being more successful or because they like the cause. Just the fact that I have whatever 2,000 views, whatever 20
Right.
days, a month.
Mm-hmm.
They go, okay. I go, and at 45-minute episode, you can do 10 minutes of advertisement, right? That's kind of the ratio from TV is 3.5 minutes to
Yeah.
1 minute, right?
Gotcha.
Of actual value to like, promo. And so I'm like,
Gotcha.
okay, I'm like, 2,000 views, that many episodes, 10 minutes. I'm like, I can make whatever. It's like 500 an episode from that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
good. I'm like,
Yeah.
that ends up being 125,000 a year. I'm like, the instant I can do that,
I'm
we are
good.
good. The money goes 10,000 that first month. I'm gonna still be living with my parents. I'm in grad school right now. I'm in
Oh
school.
hell
I'm living
yeah.
with my parents. I'm like, what's gonna happen is that money's gonna go right into Instagram ads. The band, the Jaspers I interviewed, they just had a video, not your excellent video with high quality stupid graphics. It was iPhone video of them playing at a gig, like iPhone quality, but they're so
Uh-huh.
good. To their credit, you have to be really good. You know what I mean? That's
Right,
step
right, right.
one.
Absolutely.
They're really good, and so they told me they spent $300 on ads. In 2 weeks, they had gained 200 followers from 300. And so I go,
Hell
that's a
yeah.
$1.50 a follower. If
Right.
every view I get, every like recurring viewer a year is $65 for me. So if you told me I could spend $1.50 and get $65 back, would you do that?
All right.
And if I
Hey.
if I said, hey, I'm gonna give you $10,000, you're gonna give me, whatever.
Right.
And
Right.
so I'm like, okay, let's say I'm able to grow my audience from 1,500 followers. I do $10,000 in ads. Just fucking, let's just say it works kind of. I swore, sorry. That gets me to 8,000 followers. Now we're at like 8,000 views an episode. So now
Right.
instead of it making 500 an episode, it's 2 grand an episode. So if you
Yeah.
wanted to, you could reduce the volume, but really, I'm not doing that. I'm never stopping. I'm never
Yeah,
doing that.
yeah.
No, 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 no,
To
no.
the
If anything,
top.
if anything, I'll record 10 in 2 days. You know what I mean? If I need to buy
Yeah.
time to go into the studio or do something, yeah, but
Right.
I'm never gonna because the whole point is to get people in front of the audience and get them
Yep.
exposed and to do the thing with the big guests and the other people and connect them. But that's the
Yep.
thing is once you got that money, I can do that now. And so it's
Right.
like that's where I'm kind of like so for me that's how I'm contextualizing where I'm at. And also that's the thing like I don't mind like when the Jaspers, they've got 700 followers, I've got 1,300. We'll probably get close to 2,000. Maybe it'll be 1,500 if it's low. Okay, not that big of a deal. And I'll tell you, and they also the band that I just interviewed only has 100 followers, and they recommended them because they're really good. I'm interviewing them
Yep.
because they're really good. Even though you're like, wait a minute, you have 80,000 you need to get to. It's do or die. You need to get this
Right.
happening, right?
Right.
Here's the thing. I have a couple people already like agreed. We have like 6,000 followers, and you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
2 episodes. I can afford to do anything. And those are
Yeah.
people that I'm trying to get on because they have followers. Those are the people that I like. And
Yeah.
they said yes. I was like, great. And
Yeah.
I don't think they're like huge. They just have following the internet. I don't even think they've monetized it really. Like they're still
Right.
like day job, just playing music on the internet, having fun. And you're
Yeah.
like, you guys are great. And
Yeah.
so that buys me the other fun interviews. So this is where I'm like,
Hell yeah.
I'm excited. I just gave you a whole big thing. So here's the thing. At the end of the day, this is why I talk about like it's get the audience first and then you have all the connections and you can build the
Right.
people. Now you have great people already. So you don't need clout to get RJ, the plugin wizard, to work with you. Because and then
Yeah.
not just plugin wizard, he like I mean, but like that's the
Yes.
real magic. Because if you can get it, you can get a great performance, but if it happens in the woods and no one hears it, does it really happen? Now,
Right.
that's the thing, right? It's like if I went to the gym, but I didn't post about it, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Didn't happen.
Yeah,
All gains are
exactly.
lost. All gains are
Hypertrophy
lost.
is out of the window. Now,
Shot.
here's the main thing. It's rock star. This is the thing that you were talking about where you think R&B and these other places have something different because they're not going to a playlist for just random rock music. They want a rock star. They want a
Mm-hmm.
group of rock stars. That's what they're buying. When I put AC/DC on the playlist, I'm putting badass. Those
Yeah.
badasses. That's what I'm putting on the playlist. I'm not putting on this is the tempo and this is the key and this is the minor pentatonic scale. The
It's a
minor
vibe.
pentatonic scale is a vehicle through which badassness can be transferred into the human soul into
That's
crowds
right.
of people. That's what it is. That's why
That's
we're
right.
listening to it. So it's everyone's been focused on rock. The labels were the only ones focused on star, and then other people are
Yeah.
focused on just star. And it's just like, hey, numbskulls, yeah, I know you rock. How about you add the star? Because the fans don't
Yep.
care if you rock if you don't star.
Right. Yeah, dude. I fully agree, and I think I kind of
Tirade.
I no, that was good though because it leads me to something that like I didn't necessarily like want to say, but it has been on my mind, so
Oh,
and it
go
fits
for
in
it.
here.
Shoot.
I think that when it comes to, and this is just like, regardless, when it comes to solo artists, I think outside of like the pop, not even outside of most genres, but rock is a genre where you don't see many solo artists. You see bands, like you see rock bands, right? Um, and so I think that makes it tough in the rock genre to like really strive to be a solo artist. And apart from that, I think when you look at solo artists as a whole, again, there's a lot of, I don't want to make it sound like there's not male pop solo artists out there, but the kind of pop star, or even like what people might think of when you hear like rock star, like in terms of one artist, like a lot of times it's a female. And females have like this ability to like kind of, I think it's like emanate stardom more easily than guys in a way that doesn't feel like cocky. I think when guys try to do it, it can come off. Yeah, I know. I think when guys try to do it, it can
I
come
don't
off
care. I
as
love it.
like conceited or self-serving sometimes, especially in a genre like rock and roll where like there's not a lot of solo artists. So um, that has been something that's like been on my mind and I've thought about. But like for example, like the other day, I throw up a video of Fake Bitch, right? It's one of the promo videos for that,
Yeah.
and someone I don't know who they are. An anonymous account like pops on and leaves some shitty comment on, sorry for swearing, on that. And, you know, we spar back and forth for a second there, but it's funny to me that me simply, and like I said, I don't know this person, but I do know that them and some of the people that liked the comment or whatever are like in the Buffalo scene. Like they're either fellow musicians, which is unfortunate, or they're like people I know are fans of the Buffalo music scene. Like they go to shows, they support music. Um, but when someone like me who is right, like, so I'm out here, and people who know me personally, like I have in general, I think good rapport with people, and I try to be as promoting of other local bands and artists as possible, and try to make, yeah, dude, make human connections and stuff like that. Um, that's like really my MO. But when I post a video that kind of puts me in this kind of like rock star setting, right? Sunglasses on and like rocking out to a song that's like an LA rock, California rock song vibe, that inspires enough like hate and like spite in someone to like take time to leave a comment. And I just find it funny because in reality, you have to, if you want to go somewhere, you have to take yourself seriously. And making a video where you're rocking out and kind of emanating the rock star vibe in a sense doesn't speak to like your values as a human being and how you are as a person having a conversation or a friend or a family member or anything like that. But that's like enough to inspire this response in someone else of like, oh my God, look at this guy taking himself seriously. That's so dumb. And the music's so bad. And I don't want to hear it. I'm going to go leave a comment. Like, it's funny to me that you have to take yourself seriously in order to get anywhere, but taking yourself seriously, especially as a guy trying to be a solo artist and a guy doing rock music trying to be a solo artist can like inspire that response in someone. And going back to what you said, like, yeah, like people, when you look in the grand scheme of things, people want to rock, but they also want to be involved in something or someone that feels just a little bit larger than life. Like it feels a little bit out of the ordinary compared to what else is out there. Um, and that's what I'm striving for. I don't want to be disconnected from who I am as a person, as a human, and all that, because that's very important for people to connect with. But also like, I feel like a rock star when I listen to these songs, so I'm going to make the promo videos match, and it's going to look that's how it's going to look. So it was just an interesting thing that came to my mind when you were talking about like rock star and kind of portraying yourself as that. It's just like a little dichotomy that I've noticed getting this process going.
People want the rock star. The other people don't. These people are. This is hysterical. This is hysterical. There's two things. There's two things. There's the rock star, and then there's the you talk about the male solo artist in rock. I want to get to that.
Yeah.
'Cause I've got some things written that I think you might be curious about. But
Oh
the
yeah.
rock star thing, it you go kind of like larger than life, however you describe it, right? The idea of people want to be the rock star, and every time they put on the song, they get to be a rock star. Every
Mm-hmm.
time they get to wear the cologne you're wearing, they get to wear the shirt you're wearing, they get to eat the protein bar you're having. They get to do the Connor press.
Yeah, the counter press. We
Whatever,
love it.
whatever. The Connor press goes crazy. You want those round outs. Okay. No, but that's the thing. They want the rock star. The people who say they don't want the rock star, screw them. Pardon my French, but it's just like, I'll put it this way: there's what people say they want, and there's what they really want.
Right,
Right? People actions, and there's words. There's
right,
should, could, and would, and what is. Right? There's
right.
all sorts of these dichotomies. Right? And so it's, oh, we don't like that, we don't want that, we don't like that. All they really actually care for is first off the rock star thing, and then if they don't care about that at all, then the instant you have clout, status, influence, these sorts of things, money, access to scarce resources, um, then suddenly they're a fan. And so, yeah, they say fair weather friends, fair weather fans. They're their critique here is their critique is not, if you were to talk about signal versus noise, right? Something that's
Hmm.
information that you can use, right? And then just random interference. That's all
Right,
interference. There's nothing constructive there. There's
right,
not even a thing there. And half the time you're saying, unfortunately, you've got specific people. You know how many bands I've talked to who've been canceled to a certain extent?
right.
Canceled. Like, and you're like, oh, what is it? And the one band I told you, Smother Nature, these guys who only have 100 followers, they're playing a show in like outside of Philly, like an hour outside of Philly. And they're opening, the theater booked them to open for one of the guys who's one of the lead singers for the Misfits when Danzig wasn't with the
Oh,
Misfits,
word. Hmm.
and Michael Graves, I think. And then
Yep.
some guy was like, "Oh, he's a right wing guy, and so you guys are racist for opening up for him." And they're like, "We don't know what the hell you're talking about." They put out a whole statement, a whole thing. I was telling them, I'm like, "Bro, I know a chick who got canceled for saying nignog in a group chat. They said that was the
Oh,
N
Lord.
word." And
Oh,
I'm like,
Lord.
it was from seventh grade. And I'm sitting
Uh-huh.
there like, okay. And now her new band is much more successful, and they're really starting to blow up in LA, and they're
Oh,
like the
yeah.
darlings of the town. So they're in San Diego, and they're driving up all the time. I'm sitting here like, so this is all I mean to say is the online hate that is like completely like stupid is
Yeah,
stupid and not real,
yeah.
right? It might be real, but it blows over within 3 months, especially when you're up and they down. Look how their
Right.
team changes.
And I think with something like that too, it's like you have to be aware. Like for Michael Graves, was that his name? Michael Graves,
Yeah,
Mikey
I
Graves.
think so.
Yeah, like you want to be aware of that stuff. I actually think he was coming to Buffalo too, and a similar thing may have happened to whoever was on that show here. Like I remember seeing some
Yeah,
conversation about it. And you should be as an artist aware of that stuff. And like if you fundamentally disagree with
yeah,
what the person stands for, like maybe you do pass on that show, and maybe you
yeah,
do let that potential exposure weight,
yeah,
because that's, but at the same time, if you are a band just starting out and you get offered that opportunity and
yeah,
you say, well, like, hey, I don't have a platform yet. And like to be able to have the opportunity to get in front of X number of people is valuable
yeah,
enough to me where me joining the show isn't
yeah,
speaking to, I support this artist and everything they stand for,
yeah,
but it's a business decision because we know there's
yeah,
going to be people there. As long as you're aware of what the response might be, you're good. If you're like
yeah,
completely oblivious to that response, you might want to like going forward, like step back and just make sure you do your homework
yeah,
each time so it doesn't catch you by surprise. But yeah, I agree with what you said 100% that like it doesn't it doesn't mean that the people supporting the show support the values or anything like that.
It
Um,
means largely that I'll just cut you. I'll just cut to the chase.
yeah,
No one, for the most part, no one knows anything about the political views of the band. They're going to go sing the songs from those Misfit records. What are you
right,
talking about? Are you
right.
insane? Are you insane? Are you insane?
That's
And
a
people will
fact.
be like, Pantera, Dimebag Darrell had a Confederate flag. Like, I don't care. Honestly, he's not. I'm Jewish. He's not. Is he a Nazi? Is he? Did he? Is he a literal descendant of a Nazi advocating for the policies? Otherwise, there's nothing here. You're making a
Right,
thing. There's no
right.
thing. There's no
That
thing. Also, when
the
people act
internet
like
loves to have things.
everyone you play a show with, you have to have all the same opinions on everything as other people. You're like most of my
Yeah,
friends
it's an
completely disagree with me
idealistic
on
worldview.
politics. almost all of my friends have very different politics. None of them agree. They're
Yeah.
all, I mean, I'm like that. The fact that so people when people like make everything, and so here's the second thing. So there's the rockstar
Yeah.
thing. There's people they're being haters, fake news. Oh, that was political. It's not. I don't care. I don't care. I seriously, I don't care. I like Ricky Gervais, comedian. There
Good
you go.
man.
And he goes lots of times. He goes, I don't care. I
You got it down.
don't care. Okay.
Got it
Yeah. And
down.
it's just like I don't care. I don't care. I'm here to rock and roll. And at the end of the day, when you've got the status and the influence, and you're rocking, the people who care about rock, like The Rock, and the people who are all about appearance over substance. Well, it'll be in vogue to not be hating on me. So it's like,
Yeah.
good for you. Also, I don't care if you're hating on me. I don't care. So here's the main thing. So you said solo artist in rock. What I see oftentimes, technically, I'm a solo artist in rock. And so this is where you see is having a band. So look at like
Hmm.
Queen of the Stone Age. Josh Homme is like the only consistent member, and it's his
Right.
band. He made the band. When they want to kick people out, they want new people to join. It's him. And then over
Right.
time, there's people who've been there for a while, and now they're like important fixtures. But it's like that idea. I think that rock artists a lot of times, if they're a solo artist, they form a band around them and they give the name of the band, like Eddie Van Halen. Van
Hmm.
Halen.
Yep.
So what do you think about
Exactly.
that? What would you ever consider? Because here's the thing: is like eventually when you go on the road, and once you're like selling out arenas, are you gonna have backing tracks?
Yeah. No. I mean, I
Oh,
have a group of so same thing you said earlier.
yeah,
That if and when I put together a band, a live band, I want all the members to be better than me at their respective instruments.
yeah,
I refuse to when everything
yeah,
else, the recordings, the content, and everything, the quality is so high. I would be doing myself probably the biggest disservice possible by putting together a band that doesn't match that level of
yeah.
quality. Um, so I have a group of really talented musicians in Buffalo that I've reached out to in the past and asked if they'd be interested, and got some, tentative yeses. So I have like a starting point for when that time comes. But one of the things that I guess is somewhat of a main goal for me is to build these songs up and promote these songs enough that I catch the attention potentially. Like this would be ideal. This would be ideal. This is like a
Yeah.
perfect scenario that someone who's like some kind of whether it's a manager or like a developer or something like that sees it and is willing to assist in that process of like piecing a live band together, because obviously having people in Buffalo who can do that is great, and that will help me hopefully play shows, full band shows here in the not too distant future. But I know for a fact that most of, if not all, those people aren't ready to go on the road and necessarily do anything like that. And there's also a ton of incredibly talented musicians elsewhere than Buffalo. It would be great to bring my friends along. Like that's something where if I look ahead and envision like, oh my gosh, like this potentially blows up and I have big opportunities, like I would love nothing more than to bring with me in whatever way I can the people who have not even necessarily like supported me. That's obviously a big one, but like been friends to me at this early phase and like been there for me and supported me and whatnot. Um, Bring them with me in whatever way I can. If they're musicians and like it works to work together, great. If they're just like fans and friends, like get them backstage passes, like stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I want to take care of the people who have been there for me. And that's something I think about often. The ability to do that would be like the coolest thing in the entire world. Um, but if that's not possible musician wise, then it'd be amazing if I was to stumble across someone like that or a label like that who would be willing to help me look beyond the bounds of where I am currently and piece together a band that could do these songs justice live. Because I mean, I know that at the point where when I get to the point of being able to perform with a band, that's going to be a next step. That's going to be a next level, because as much as I can play these songs acoustically, like it's not the same in any way. And the way it's received will be much different when it's out there ripping at, amps turned up to 10, with a full band. Like that'll be a whole new level. And I'm excited for that, but I'm not going to rush into it, because I want it to be perfect when the time comes.
Perfect. So, what do you think about this idea? You do what you're doing, no band. You do what you're doing, songs, everything. You get the manager, you get them to book you as opening for a tour. Then you assemble the band.
Yeah, like something like that would be amazing.
Now
I
you
would
got a
love to.
carrot. You got a carrot to dangle so these people don't blow you off.
Right, right.
All right,
Yeah,
everyone cares about themselves and their own impulses. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, as much as we love, oh, these people are going to invest in you, and they do that to a certain point. People are going
right.
to go out of their way. But once you've got a real thing, ooh, you put the incentive where it's like,
Yeah,
man, I will be nice to you, but also now I really want to stay because there's that.
right. And I'm like, it's not, and I also understand that like when you're not to that point, like it's hard to get people to buy in, like and just say, hey, I want a live band, like to get
Yeah,
people to buy into that when you're not doing things, so to speak, like doing bigger things, is tough. And I get that. I acknowledge that. But if that time ever came and it was like, hey, we're putting you on a tour and like you need to have a band, like where am I going to start? I'm going to start at those people that have
yeah,
been friends and been supportive. And if they can't, then cool, like we move on. But like they're going to be the people that I go to first, 100%. Like that's not even, to me, that's not even a question. Even if there were better, potentially slightly better musicians out there, like the value of being able to bring someone along who I know has been grinding in the same way. And maybe they do one tour with me and that's enough to get them, like somebody sees them on that tour and they're like, oh my God, like you play guitar like that. And then he's like, yeah, I'm in a band. I'm in this band. This is my original band. They're like, oh my God, that's your original band. We want you to go on tour with it. Like that would be amazing. I'm not saying they got to stay with me forever, but, the potential to bring friends along and potentially open doors for them is like one of the coolest parts in my head about potentially going somewhere with music. Like
yeah,
that's the dream.
yeah. What do you think about the idea of having a band name that you kind of put the music out behind versus solo artists? Because I think there's a little bit of a connotation, right? Like the White Stripes, amazing. I love all those records. Jack White solo records. I've heard a couple singles. I'm not going through those.
Right.
And so there's an association that the solo material usually is not as good as
Hmm.
whatever the band is, even if it's mainly one guy who is the band. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, and so that's kind of so for me. My band is Black Licorice, right? And
Gotcha.
so I would say probably one of very consistent member has been my brother, who's played bass on a lot of the recordings, but actually barely played any of the gigs with us, which is kind of funny.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, once everything is like blowing up and we're doing big shows, yeah, he'll probably be there playing bass. If he wants to go off
Yeah.
on his
Yeah.
own project, yes, of course. And so, kind of this idea that like having an outlet. So, what do you think is easier to brand and get people to latch onto? Because I know you as a person is easy for people to like, and they say in social media, like if you look at like any guy who has a company or gal or whatever, their page has like 10 million followers, their company 100,000, and so you
Right.
realize, okay, people like you, and
Right.
so for me, I kind of the way I think about it is people are going to fall in love with me, whoever they are, everyone, your mom, your girlfriend. Watch out, your girlfriend's listening. When she's not with you, she's with me up here in her head. In her head. Anyways, your girlfriend, she's not mine, but she ain't yours. Now, she's no, but anyways, so what I mean to say is, so people are gonna attach to me, and then from that, when I put out music, they're gonna go check out my band, and then my band will have a thing, and then hopefully the other
Right.
people also, hopefully I can get them either to start a podcast or start whatever thing, do social media, build up an audience of their own, right? So that when we
Yeah.
come together, we have all these different things feeding into it, right? And so then
Right.
people want to check it out, even though technically it's my band. But off that, look, you can launch your own band, right? And
Right.
they can open, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and all that stuff. Yeah. So it's like Power Rangers. It's like combine the Power Rangers.
Yeah. I think there is definitely.
Well, how do you think about that for you? Because it's kind of like
Yeah.
you're like one in the same pillar. You're the same like bar graph
Yeah.
fandom meter.
Yeah. I think that like, and again, like just like my strategy in terms of growth has changed over time as like I see what works and what doesn't work. Like this view may change over time as well. But the way I see it now, assigning like prescribing Aklo
Yeah.
as the name of this project, um, the goal there was to create separation from myself, from my real name. Because like I said, I put music out under my name before. Everybody obviously knows me by my real name. But I've always felt that like doing it under your real name when you aren't anyone, like you're not, what's a good example? Like if Dave Grohl went and put out solo work right now, which he's put out some solo stuff, like people would be like, oh, that's Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters. He's amazing. I'm going to go listen to this. But when it's just Jory and Holka, nobody knows who that is. That's me, by the way. But nobody knows who that is. And so they're not going to be as enticed to listen. I think for me, taking the step to have the moniker, which by the way, Akloh is my last name backwards. So it's still me, but it's not me. And I know, mind blowing. But the thought there was to like separate it from myself and make it a tangible entity, that this is like, this is the artist. Akloh is the artist. It's not the person. Jory and Holka is a totally separate person. Akloh is the artist. And I think with that, I'm not someone who was in a well-known band, stepped away and tried to do solo stuff. I'm someone who was an unknown person who is now stepping into the artistry, really stepping into the artistry aspect of things. I want to like take that as far as possible. And like I said, if I was to take it as far as I can and then I hit the ceiling and nothing else is working to continue driving progress, and like maybe it's time Akloh joins a band and like the band is the focus. But I think that like if the branding and the promotion and everything is good enough, and as people find me, they simply know, they know these songs as being Akloh's songs. I think that would be enough to drive this forward. You
Akloh,
know what I mean? It's not a band
Akloh,
songs first.
Akloh, I got this. Because let's say we don't need to do this, but I'm saying like, for example, let's say I build this thing up, it gets big, and you're building your thing up, it gets big. Then it's like, okay, join powers. Maybe someone else has a band, and you do stuff under that label, and like you sing the songs, you split the songwriting credits, yada yada yada, and you're able to do big tours as like joining a brand or merging with. But then by the time you come off that, you're solo. You're such a big commodity that your solo band. You know what I mean? And all those songs that were your like your original songs, and you can still play the ones you co-wrote. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess
It's
I just
it's
thought of that. So, but I kind of the idea of like almost like hopping onto a reality TV show, like right,
right.
almost getting to be a part of like a bigger like band, because then you're combining everyone's things, and
Right.
so you could build like a 5-man super group in the age of
Yeah.
like the internet. What do you
Absolutely.
think
Yeah.
about
If
that?
you're I mean, I think the possibilities are essentially endless
Yeah,
nowadays in terms of like what route you go. Um, and again, I think it just comes back to the product being high quality. Like if you're
yeah,
trying to do a solo thing and the means that you have as a solo act aren't like, you're not able to like get good recordings, you don't have those connections, and you're not able to like make video, like you don't know how to make videos, and
yeah,
you don't have anyone, like then you might want to team up and like make a band and grow yourself that way, because your three or four other people in the band are going to have maybe not the best connections, but they're going to have more connections than just you.
yeah,
Me, on the other hand, like I've kind of worked this backward. Like I've been in
yeah,
bands, I've been playing around, I've gotten connected with people, and I've just realized, and this might speak more to me as a stubborn artist, that like of the people that I have in my immediate circle right now, like I'm able to make what I think is my best product as a solo guy right now. And with that said, though, like choosing to bring in someone like RJ, who's someone that I fully trust and believe in and think it does incredible work. Like that's almost my version of having a band in that sense, and bringing in Jeremy on the drums. Like, yes, that's only for recordings right now, but it was me saying, I recorded music, my own music in the past, and it hasn't gone anywhere because it didn't sound good enough. And I have a connection that can make it sound incredible. I want to work with him. And my drumming, I can drum, but it's not adding anything to the song. So I'm going to leverage another connection and let's level that up. So I'm still very mindful of the areas where I'm not, I don't want to say up to par, but maybe not well above average. Like I might be average at some things. I'm still very honest with myself in identifying those spots so that I can collaborate with people who can help me level up in that sense. But at this point, and this is again just my specific scenario, I haven't gotten to a spot or an item where I'm like, oh man, having a band right now would be better. The only time that I think that is when I'm like, man, I wish we could go rip a show with a live band right now. Like that'd be crazy. But I'm being patient, and that's something that
yeah,
I want and will come
yeah.
with time. But right now, it's just a phase of like, let's show people what my music is and what it sounds like, and let's see what kind of interest and growth comes from just that, and then keep being honest with myself. oh, that's not going super well, or oh, that's an area of opportunity, and then bring people in and build a team, I guess, of
Yeah.
people who fill those gaps.
Yeah. I really appreciate that. I think we should end off on a little poetry I'd like to recite.
I like it. I like it.
That sounds good.
Sounds great.
Okay. Let's go. I'm through with standing in line. The clubs will never get in. It's like the bottom of the ninth, and I'm never gonna win. It's- wait, chef.
This life hasn't
Sir,
turned out quite the way.
I thought wanted to be. Tell
There
me
you
what you
go.
want. I want a brand new house on an episode of Cribs and a bathroom I can play baseball in, and a king size tub with enough room for 10 plus me. Okay, let's see. Where's the end? Because we all want to be, just because we all just want to be big rock stars and live in hilltop houses, driving 15 cars. The girls come easy and the drugs come cheap. We'll all stay skinny because we just won't eat, and we'll
I'm making up a
hang
TikTok dance to
out
this
in
while
the
you're going.
coolest bars in the VIP with the movie stars. Every good gold digger's gonna wind up there. Every playboy bunny with her bleached blonde hair and a hey, hey, I wanna be a rock star.
Perfect. Flawless.
Hey, hey, I wanna be a rock
Flawless.
star. Okay, Aklo, where can the people find you?
Everywhere. Anywhere it's Akloh, AKLOH dot music, pretty much across all social media. Or you can simply go to LinkTree, LINKTR dot EE /Akloh dot music, and that'll give you all my social media, all my music in one spot. But put in Akloh. I think I'm like the only Akloh out there. I think there might be an electronic music producer who spells his name without the H. That's also Akloh. But I'm the only Akloh with an H and a period at the end. So if you Google that, it'll come up too.
The only real Aklo, you heard it here first. Now look at the really cool outro I made using Adobe Express. If you'd like to know how I made that,
Woo!
hit me up. But listen to the cool theme song. I wrote that.